Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Lathan with Fort Worth Opera, and I'm here with Andrew Whitfield, chorus master and associate conductor for Minnesota Opera, who happens to also be the music director and sound editor for our world premiere Zoom opera, Bernadette's Cozy Book Nook. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Ryan?
I'm awesome. Thank you. Thanks for being here with me.
My pleasure.
So how did you come to be a part of the Book Nook project?
Well, I've known Mark Campbell, who's the librettist for this opera, for years. And we were working on an opera, Edward Tulane, which was going to have premiered at Minnesota Opera. And we got right to the last week of production. We were with the orchestra, and then, of course, everything stopped. So that was a sad experience, but it sort of brought Mark and myself closer. And we were talking in the summer about ways to sort of like just have that kind of community and have the kind of give the artists the ability to commune with the public. And Mark organized this project of Light Shall Lift Us, which was written by Paul Moravec. And he got about over 100 singers to participate, and some pretty big names. And he also brought in Cara Consilvio, who is the director for Bernadette's Cozy Book Nook. And so we all put that together. We had no budget, and we were all just sort of doing it for the love of making music again. And it proved to be something that was pretty powerful and really resonated with a lot of people. Got an enormous amount of views. Yeah. So it got Mark to thinking about other ways we can explore this space, this digital space, in new and innovative ways. So he came up with this concept for a book club that had to be moved online. And he brought me and Cara back together. And of course, we were delighted to be a part of it because even though obviously it's a much smaller cast, it presented an enormous amount of logistical challenges to create the illusion that we were all singing together. And anybody who's used Zoom, which at this point is everybody, you all know that there is this latency with the sound, and you're always stepping on people's comments and lines and whatnot. And that doesn't work for music. So we really had to get innovative in our approach to that. And also we wanted to make sure that we were capturing the voices as best we possibly could.
What were some of the most rewarding moments you encountered during the rehearsal and the recording process?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, the play is about, the opera is about this group of people who are a community, and they move themselves online to maintain that community. And I think what we all found throughout the process is that it was a little bit of life imitating art, because we were also a group of artists who were coming together and having this experience online. And I think the most amazing thing that came out of it was just how much we all connected and how we really bonded as a cast in a way that you don't always do when you're in a production with 50 people in the room where there are a lot of logistics. I mean, because of the intimate nature of this production with just basically myself, Cara, stage manager, and the cast, on Zoom for 6 hours a day, it really we were able to get to know each other. And there was a really strong connection, I think, between all of us, which is really special. And I will keep with me for the rest of my life.
It's not something that's very common, that's for sure.
Certainly not.
So the Harlem Quartet and pianist Aldo López-Gavilán recorded their parts separately from the cast. What was the process like for you as the sound editor, syncing all of these voices and the ensemble so that it really looked and sounded so seamless on the screen?
Well, in a world, it was stressful because it's sort of a backwards way to do things. We did things a little differently in as much as the cast sang we recorded the cast first, and then we added the orchestra underneath them. And that gave us there were some benefits in doing it that way, because we were able to give the singers flexibility to shape their lines as they saw fit. And then we were able to fit the orchestra beneath them. And it also gave us a chance to really look at how they were interpreting the piece. And that informed how I told the string quartet to interpret the piece as well. For example, there's a line at the end that Brenda just felt very inward. Brenda Harris, she's the leading lady at the show. And when she sang it, I told her to go for that and really explore that. And then I was able to include her line in the click track that I gave the string quartet. And I said, really listen to what she's doing and try and mirror that. And in many ways, it really worked out well because the string quartet listened and they reacted. They reacted to the words, they reacted to the inflections of the singers, and they just brought an enormous amount of character, a lot of character that I didn't even ask for. They just sort of went with it. And it really kind of worked out in a special way, I think, in the end. Of course, the stressful part was making sure that the click track agreed 100% with what the singers were doing. And fortunately, we didn't have any real problems with that.
What do you think you'll remember most fondly about this entire experience?
Well, I think at this point in the pandemic, question's more about what you want to not remember about this experience.
Yeah.
But I think both for myself and for the opera world as a whole, it will shape how we move forward, because we've forced ourselves we've been forced to learn new tricks and to explore new options and ways to incorporate technology into the musical process. And that has been really fascinating. And I've found a lot of ways where it certainly doesn't work, but there are a lot of aspects in which it really does improve upon the process that we've already had in the opera world for hundreds of years. So it'll be really exciting to see how the art form metamorphosizes after this is over and we're back to work. Similar to how it did after World War II. I mean, It was the same situation in Europe where theaters were shuttered, but out of that was born a new way of thinking about opera, a new sense of modernism in opera, and it really kind of gave it, it propelled opera into the 20th century when up to that point, it had been lagging in a sort of 19th century sensibility.
Andrew, thank you so much for chatting with me. This was so great.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Everybody out there, don't miss your chance to see how Andrew and this incredible creative team and cast brought Bernadette's cozy book Nook to life. Now through January 24th. Visit fwopera.org to get your tickets today.